Hello and welcome. This is Dana Shea, author of my new book, The Choice That Changed Her Life. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Over the next couple of days, I'm going to be recording a couple of excerpts from the book in hopes that not only will you go out and purchase it, but that you'll also learn some of these life lessons and you'll be able to glean from some of the inspiration and hope-filled messages that I have included in this book. So I'm going to start off today reading an excerpt of chapter 1. I'm not going to edit this, so just, take it as it is, and I hope that you find yourself and actually get lost in the story. So we're going to pick up here where Sadie and Brian, who are the main characters of the book, have just finished, playing, and they're in a new relationship. Everything is great for them. All right, so it says, Sadie leaned up against the wall. Why had it taken her so long to see what was right in front of her? For 2 years, Brian had tried to woo her, but she wouldn't bite. She simply wasn't interested. He wasn't good enough for her back then. Oh, she always thought he was cute, maybe even sexy, as all the girls at school agreed. He just wasn't what she was looking for in her Prince Charming. For starters, he was much too full of himself, too sneaky, too experienced. Oh, and he was black. Sadie never considered herself prejudiced. She had lots of black friends. Noelle, Kendra, Jaden, Trayvon, the list could go on. She had no problems dating a black guy. She had just never done it before. Besides, Brian just wasn't her type. She needed someone more suitable for her kind, as her father would say. Someone more intellectual, more affluent, more white. Someone like Jay Rivers, her ex, who in spite of breaking her heart last year when he dumped her for no apparent reason, still remained her standard for the perfect boyfriend. But something happened last year when she was on the mend from Jay. Brian started to grow on her. A smile curved her lips as she remembered the flirtatious banter she shared with him after he led the Southside High School Tigers to their third consecutive basketball championship. I gotta give it to you, Brian. Your game is pretty tight, Sadie had flattered, her cheeks growing hot as he looked her up and down. You talking to me? Brian had asked, over-exaggerating his surprise. I didn't think you noticed my game, Sadie lady. She hated when he called her that, a name he made up because he said she was uppity. Oh, I've noticed all right, but don't get all psyched. Sadie teasingly punched him in the side. You're still not all that. She pranced toward the gym doors to join the other varsity cheerleaders, hoping to give him a little tease of her super short cheerleading skirt. Glancing over her shoulder, she was pleased to see that he was practically drooling as she reached the exit doors. Mission accomplished. Yo, Sadie, you can't resist me much longer. You know you want me, so stop fighting it. Brian called after her as the rest of the basketball team bum-rushed him. Sadie rolled her eyes and waved him away, giving her cheerleading skirt another flirtatious shake as she left. She was well aware of Brian's reputation at school. Being the star basketball player and all, what girl wasn't trying to get with him? Black girls, white girls, Asian girls, every girl. But he wasn't thinking about any of them, just her. Maybe he's not so bad, she had thought. After all, hadn't her mother told her never to judge a book by its cover? Maybe she would give Brian a try. Black or not, he was the best-looking guy in the school, and he was right. It was getting harder to fight his advances. Okay, Ma, okay. Brian quickly hung up the phone, snapping Sadie back into the present. Sorry, he sulked, plopping down next to her. Everything okay? Sadie asked, lightly tracing his hairline with her finger. I don't know why she feels the need to call me from work to nag me about that English test I failed, like that couldn't wait until she got home from work. Boy, how do you think you're going to get into UNC if you don't get these grades up? Brian mimicked his mother's tone, pointing his finger in the air and rolling his neck. Sadie giggled. He had Miss Dickens down to a T. Anyway, where were we? Brian leaned over and brought his lips to Sadie, kissing her long and slow. Sadie closed her eyes, allowing the memory of their first kiss to resurface in her mind. I never get tired of you kissing me like that. Inhaling the lingering scent of his intoxicating cologne, she softly purred, I love you. There was no going back now. Now that is the conclusion of the first part of chapter 1, and several lessons that I hope really stood out to you. First of all, we noticed that Sadie is, the only thing that she could say about Brian is that he was good looking. She really didn't have any other reasons for dating him. She didn't talk about his character. She didn't talk about, he was goal driven. He was nothing about his personality at all. The only thing that she said about him was that he was stuck up, which isn't a good thing, and that he was good looking. And, I find that a lot of I was going to say young people, but really not just young people, just a lot of people base their relationships on physical attraction alone. And yes, we can't help who we're attracted to. I say that all the time. You can't help it. Whether you're married or single, you have a certain type. And there's certain people that are going to come across your path that might, spark your interest, that might be physically appealing to you, but it can't stop there. You have to have something else to go on other than just the physical, or else you're going to have a very shallow and usually a very short relationship. So, when I'm speaking to groups, especially young women, I always tell them, in relationships, you need to be looking for how this person treats his friends, how he has treated his past girlfriends. And Sadie said something that was very key. She said she knew his reputation at school, but she didn't care. And again, this is something that many of us, whether you're a younger person or whether you're, in your 30s or 40s, you might know of someone's reputation, and that gut, that intuition is telling you, don't do it, wrong move, keep moving, don't date him, don't date her. But how many times do we often ignore that intuition and we go full steam ahead and end up making, a very stupid, sometimes very damaging decision. So the book that I've written is part of a series of books called the Choices series. And I really wanted to begin to really dissect some of our choices, because a lot of us are in situations today and we're in circumstances that we brought upon ourselves. And if we can go back and retrace how we got to the place that we are today, usually we'll be able to identify a bad choice. We'll be able to identify a time where we were at a crossroads and we could either choose choice A or choice B. And we chose choice B and it wasn't the right choice, leading us to the circumstances that we're in today. So the good news is this: though you cannot go back in the past and change your choices, you can begin today to make new choices that will affect new circumstances in your new future. So all throughout the pages of this book, I was very intentional about adding some really good life lessons, relationship lessons, things that are going to, really make you think. Lessons that I wish sometimes I would have paid more attention to. My mom did a great job raising me. She tried to warn me about some things. And unfortunately, when you're young, you're invincible, right? You think that you know everything and you think that this isn't going to happen to me. And many times we make dumb decisions when we really could have avoided it. So thank you so much for listening today. I will post these little excerpts a couple of times a week. And you can find my book on Amazon or barnesandnoble.com. And the name of the book again is The Choice That Changed Her Life. I want to invite you to head on over to my website, which is danashe.com. That's DANACHE.com, and continue the conversation over there. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.